Okay, recording this video after close of trade Thursday, 15th of January 2015. What a day. I hope you had a great day's trading today. And everybody wants to talk about the Swiss franc and what the Swiss National Bank did, which was break the peg with the euro. And I think that's fascinating and an interesting story, but is not what you should be looking at. You should be looking at the stock market. I don't know how to say this more emphatically. Watch out. We are breaking through critical support levels. We're going to go for a tumble. So I'm going to run through those charts, but just very quickly, this is what happened to the Swiss franc today. I'll do a longer video this weekend all about what the Swiss National Bank has been playing at, and I hope if you've caught the videos that I've done over the last couple of years talking about central bank intervention, you'll know my story on the Swiss central bank. Some very sensible people back in the 70s and 80s have turned into maniacs basically in the last 5 years, and what they were trying to do was prevent the Swiss franc from appreciating. This is a weekly chart of the Swiss franc versus the euro. The data in TradeStation is the euro versus the Swiss franc, so I put it in inverted terms so you can see what was happening. When we had the crisis in 08 and everybody's talking about the euro breaking apart, Greek exiting, blah blah blah, all the smart money ran into Swiss francs, and thus we had a massive appreciation in the Swiss franc from 08 to mid 2011. And then the Swiss central bank said we can't keep this this appreciation going, because it's going to, first of all, destroy our banking system, secondly, destroy all our exporters. And so they said, no, we're going to peg at 120 to the euro, and so that's at 83.83 versus the euro. And they kept that peg for a good long time. What is that, 3.5 years? And then today, overnight, they decided, no, we can't afford it. We've just spent 100% of GDP in fake money out of our infinite electronic checkbook, and we think that's probably enough. And so overnight it just got revalued by 20% up. So the whole story is interesting. I'll do a bigger video on that on the weekend, but let's talk about the equities and the indices, because we are breaking through critical levels. I said on the last video I did 2001 and the S&P was critical level. Well, we're through that. We're through 2000s, and I'm going to show you on the daily charts why this is important. So on the daily index here of the Dow, we are through support. So this is showing weakness in the market. We've had exhaustion patterns on the daily chart up here at 18,000. At Christmas time, this was all the Rambo patterns and exhaustion buying. Rambo with exhaustion is unstable, so that just shows the amateurs are buying at the absolute peak here, and there's a lot of volume kind of going in there, and then we've just turned around at a resistance level. We've come down to support printed, and we're now closing below support. We're likely to run into a trend move on the daily chart on the way down here, so we're breaking support on daily Dow. This is S&P 500, same picture, exhaustion buy with Rambo patterns. That's unstable. We can't get through 2100. Resistance comes in. We're breaking support. That is yesterday's blue professional bar, and we're playing with the lows of that. We're breaking into a downtrend, pullback to end of trend type move on the S&P 500 on the daily chart. This is the Russell, same deal. The exhaustion kind of happened, well, it was kind of a short covering rally, this move here. It was weak. We were saying the Russell was the weakest of all the indices when it broke to new highs, and you can see all the Rambo patterns at the tops. Breaking support. We're broken. We're closing below support on the Russell. And then lastly, the NASDAQ, same deal. It was a flush pattern here. The Rambo patterns came earlier. We then tested up with the amateur up bars into 4800. Resistance comes in, and we're now breaking support. We're closing through support, kind of getting close to this kind of critical level here. So we are potentially breaking into a downtrend. I mean, if they held this and reversed it and we close back above support tomorrow or the next day, it's like, well, good on you. But at the moment it is looking like it is closing through support, going to run pullback to end of trend, some kind of daily trending move. So that is daily charts on all the indices, exactly the same picture. We are now closing below support, and that is weak. If we look at the trend charts, this is better X trend based on this trailing stop. I showed this chart in the last video 2 days ago. So I was saying we were coming down to these critical levels, so that we're starting to flip now. Better X trend is flipped to the downside because we have closed below the trailing support. On this is the Dow chart here. The trailing support now is flipped up to here. We're in a downtrend on better X trend. Same deal on Russell. The Russell is flipped. We're breaking below support here. This is the S&P 500. Well, we're close. It's down here at 1973, so we're getting there. This is daily chart on the E-mini at ES. Broken through support, closed through support. 2027 is where the trailing stop has flipped on the upside here, and the weekly one, the critical level here is kind of around 62, but that's going to be absolutely key. So we've not broken that one yet, but you can see the Nasdaq, here we go, we're just sitting on the edge of this kind of previous trailing stop, so close below that, we'll flip this better X trend above there. So I think you can get the picture. We're kind of breaking through these support levels on these daily time frames. So the higher time frames, when the higher time frames picture kind of becomes clear, we have bigger moves. We can break it down and also see how that's kind of working on each of these time frames. So daily chart on the E-mini, we're closing through support. Let's back it down another time frame to the 135-minute chart, and here we are sitting at this support here. 1980, absolutely key level. The reason why I think this is coming down is if you look at what's been happening, on the 135-minute chart. This is the Christmas activity here. These are all the amateur traders at the highs buying the new breakouts. We get a whole series of little Rambo patterns. Rambo stands for potential reversal of an amateur breakout. The amateurs are buying a breakout, expecting this to go to new highs. No, they get wrong-footed, goes the other way. We've had a whole series of blue professional down bars. This was the beginning of the year where people were saying, we're down, down, down. We come back into that kind of zone where they were kind of selling it down here with this blue professional down bar, and we broke through the lows of that. We come nowhere near the highs there. They were just anxious to get out here. And then the last series of blue professional bars, down, down. We've come back in with today's activity. The high that we printed today came back into that little kind of sell zone, got rejected, comes back down. We're now below these the lows of the blue professional bars. I always get questions about interpretation of blue professional bars. How do you know whether the professionals are buying or selling? Well, first of all, where the bars are happening in terms of the sequence. If it's at a bottom of a range after a several days sell-off, and you see the blue professional bars coming in, that would indicate the professionals are buying at the lows. But you look for confirmation. You're looking for what happens after the blue professional bars come in. Do the blue professional bars hold at the lows and then their highs get broken, in which case we're going in an uptrend? Or do the blue professional bars kind of come in at the high of a range and so on, and their lows get broken? Here they're coming in at the highs of the range. The blue professional bars are tend to be on the highs up here, and they're breaking the lows, therefore they're selling them. And then here we're at the bottom of the channel right here, and we're potentially falling through the ice kind of down here at 1980 into a trending move on the way down, and we're looking for confirmation what happens after these blue professional bars. If we're closing below the lows, continue going down, the professionals were selling it here, and then they're saying, well, there's more to be had, I'm selling it down here as well, because we keep on breaking through the lows. And then on the 45-minute chart, we're through the lows here with today's activity. We're breaking through the lows. So all of that's like we're coming through these critical support levels, which means we're going to turn into pullback to end of trend type moves. 40,500 tip bar chart. It's been messy the last couple of days. This 2001 level, we kind of broke it. We kind of came back up. We broke it again, came back up, and it's been playing and playing with it. But again, 40,500 tip bar chart, very similar to a 45-minute chart. We're through the supports here. The only blue professional bar came in at the end of the day, and this is the overnight kind of activity. We just kind of started up, and we're kind of heading down to 79s at the moment. So and through here we don't have an exhaustion sell signal on a left shoulder yet. The exhaustion sell that we had was getting this move going. That activity happens in that first few bars of that day. That was just anxiously getting this move going. So we're looking for this kind of exhaustion pattern on a left shoulder after we've broken into this trend move. So the net of all of this is basically we are breaking through supports on both kind of medium time frames, the 45 and the 135-minute time frames, and the daily charts on all these indices. They're all kind of coming together. So although everybody wants to look at the Swiss franc and talk about what the ECB is likely to do, whether Greece will exit, whether the Swiss National Bank did the right thing, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, equities markets dropping through supports. Tomorrow, Friday, going to be absolutely key. Fridays tend to be rangy. They tend to be kind of more trendy type days. We've had, if you like, it's been volatile over the last couple of days, but it's kind of been in a consolidation zone of about a 20, 25, 30 point kind of range. We've been consolidating in here. These kind of spiky moves were happening in the overnights. The day session has been rather, relatively kind of constrained. So we've got a little bit of consolidation happening, from which we have an expansion of range. So look out. So Friday's going to be really interesting, and actually the overnight activity, what happens, because of the fallout in Europe and what happens, with the overnight session before the market kind of gets going on Friday is going to be critical. So I had a really nice day trading, a couple of great little short trades right at the beginning of the day. So I was happy with that. I'd like to put those up, but I think there's just too much in this video. I'll put them up at some point, and again, as I said, I'll do a bigger piece on the Swissy and the Swiss National Bank, because I just think the story is interesting to understand. Anyway, I hope your trading's going well, and let's see what happens. It's going to be interesting.